Okay, so last week I found an old notebook from when I was learning Spanish years ago, and there's one page, just one word, written maybe 80 times. Desayuno, breakfast. 80 times, Sam.
80?
80. I counted them. I sat there and counted.
Okay, that's a little intense.
It was. And you know what's funny? Actually, it's not funny. It's a little sad. I still had to look the word up 2 weeks later. All that writing, and it just didn't stay.
Wait, so all that work and it didn't work?
It didn't work at all. And for years, honestly, I thought that meant something was wrong with me. Like my memory was just bad. Broken, almost.
Huh. I thought the exact same thing about myself for a really long time.
Really?
Yeah, I used to think other people just had good memories for languages, and I didn't. Turns out that's not really the story.
No, it's really not.
It's kind of a relief to hear you say that, honestly, because I remember feeling almost ashamed about it. Like, other people in my class could just glance at a word once and keep it, and I needed to see it 100 times.
I felt that exact shame. And it turns out the difference was never really about ability at all.
So what was it about then?
This is Door to English. I'm Emma.
And I'm Sam.
And today we're talking about why your memory probably isn't broken and why 100 repeats might actually be working against you.
Okay, quick question for everyone watching right now. What's one word you've written out like 20 times, 30 times, and you still forgot it 2 days later?
Yeah, put it in the comments. I genuinely want to see how many of us did the desayuno 80 times thing.
I have a feeling it's a lot of us.
It's definitely a lot of us.
And hey, if you're new here, this is kind of our whole thing. We take these little everyday language struggles, the stuff that makes you feel like you're bad at this, and we dig into what's actually going on underneath.
So if that sounds useful to you, stick around. Maybe subscribe.
No pressure though. Just, we'd genuinely love to have you with us.
Actually, one more thing before we dive in. While you're typing your word in the comments, think about this too. How did it make you feel forgetting it after all that effort?
Ooh, that's a good ad. I remember feeling almost annoyed at myself.
Right, and that feeling is really common. So if you relate to it, you're definitely not alone.
Okay, let's get into it. So, why doesn't it work then? Writing a word 80 times feels like it should work. It feels like effort.
It really does feel like effort. That's the tricky part. But here's the thing. When you copy the same word again and again, at some point your brain kind of checks out.
Checks out how?
Like, your hand is still moving. You're still writing desayuno, 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 but you're not actually thinking about the word anymore.
Oh, like when you're driving a route you drive every single day, and you arrive at work and you genuinely don't remember the drive at all.
Exactly like that. Your brain goes on autopilot because it decided this task doesn't need full attention.
Wait, so it's not really about the number of times you repeat something?
No, not at all. It's about whether your brain is actually working each time you see the word. 80 lazy repeats can teach you way less than 3 difficult ones.
3 difficult ones. Okay, say more about that. What makes a repeat difficult versus lazy?
Well, think about a time you struggled to remember something. You really couldn't get it. And then someone reminded you. And after that, you never forgot it again.
Oh, actually, my friend's dog. I forgot his name 3 separate times. Felt so awkward every time. And now, I will never ever forget that dog's name for the rest of my life.
That's it exactly. That little bit of struggle, that discomfort of, I should know this and I don't, that's the moment that makes it stick, not the smooth, easy, comfortable repeats.
So the comfortable version is actually the less useful one.
Basically, yeah, comfortable and useful aren't the same thing here.
Okay, so, small insight to close this one out. It's not about how many times you see a word. It's about how hard your brain has to work when you see it.
That's it. Number of repeats, not the point. quality of the struggle, that's the point.
Can I ask something though? Doesn't that feel a bit unfair? Like, writing something 80 times feels responsible. It feels like you're doing your homework properly.
It really does feel responsible, and I think that's exactly why so many of us keep doing it. It looks like effort, from the outside and to ourselves.
But it's the wrong kind of effort.
It's effort pointed in the wrong direction, yeah. Like imagine someone lifting the same light weight 100 times versus lifting a slightly heavier weight 10 times. The second person builds more strength, even with way less repetition.
Oh, that's actually a really good comparison. Less repetition, more resistance.
Exactly. Your memory works a lot like a muscle in that sense.
So if I go back to my own notebook habit, writing the word over and over, what would you actually tell past me to do instead?
Honestly, I'd tell you to write it once, then close the notebook and try to say it out loud from memory before opening it again.
That's it? Just once?
Just once, but with real attention. One focused repeat beats 80 distracted ones, pretty much every time.
That's going to be hard to actually trust, though. Writing something once feels almost lazy compared to 80 times.
I know, it feels lazy, but that feeling is exactly the trap. We've been taught that more effort always equals more learning, when really it's about where the effort goes, not how much of it there is.
So it's less how many, more how.
More how, yeah. That's honestly the whole chunk in 3 words. Let's move to the second point. It builds on that. If easy repetition doesn't really work, what actually does?
Testing yourself?
Testing yourself. There's an idea in memory research called retrieval practice. Basically, instead of just reading a word again and letting your eyes slide over it, you close the book or cover the translation, and you try to pull the word out of your own memory first.
Oh, I actually do this by accident sometimes. Like I'll cover the translation with my hand and try to guess before I let myself look.
That's the whole idea right there. And notice, it's uncomfortable, isn't it? Because sometimes you guess and you're just wrong.
Yeah, honestly, it feels bad in the moment. Like I'm failing at something simple.
But that little, I don't actually know this feeling, that's the exact moment your brain is building the memory. If it feels smooth and easy the whole time, it's probably not building much of anything.
So the uncomfortable part is actually the useful part.
The uncomfortable part is the useful part. I used to avoid that feeling completely. I'd just reread instead, because rereading never makes you feel dumb.
Right, rereading feels safe.
Very safe, and not very effective. Now I kind of go looking for that uncomfortable feeling on purpose, because I know what it means.
Can I be honest? That's going to change how I study. I think I've been choosing the comfortable option this whole time without realizing it.
Most people are. It's not really our fault. Comfortable just feels like it's working.
Okay, insight 2 then. Don't just reread the word. Close your eyes, take a guess, then check. Even, especially, if you get it wrong.
Can I add something to that? I think a lot of learners avoid testing themselves because they're worried about proving they don't know something.
Oh, that's so true. There's almost a fear attached to guessing wrong.
Right, but nobody's watching, nobody's grading you in that moment. Getting it wrong while you're alone with your notebook literally costs you nothing.
And it actually teaches you more than getting it right straight away would.
Genuinely more. A wrong guess followed by the correct answer seems to stick harder than an easy right answer ever does.
That's kind of freeing, actually. Like, the wrong guesses aren't failures. They're basically the whole point.
I'd even say if you're never getting anything wrong while you're testing yourself, the test is probably too easy for you.
Oh, interesting. So a little bit of difficulty is actually a good sign, not a bad one.
A good sign. It usually means your brain is being asked to actually search for the answer instead of just recognizing something it saw 30 seconds ago.
That's a really different way to think about getting things wrong. I always assumed a wrong answer meant I'd studied badly.
It's almost the opposite. A wrong answer during practice when nothing's really at stake, is one of the cheapest, most useful moments you'll get.
Okay, moving to the third point. Can I tell a story for this one?
Please, go ahead.
So there's this word heartbroken. I first learned it from a boring textbook list, next to about 20 other adjectives. Didn't stick at all. Completely forgot it within a day.
Okay,
Then, months later, I was watching a film and a character says it right before she starts crying, and I just got it. Instantly. Never forgotten it since.
see, that's the emotional connection piece.
Right, so a word that arrives with a feeling attached, a story, a face, a real moment, it just lives in your memory completely differently than a word sitting on a flat list.
It's because your brain treats emotional moments as important, almost automatically. It's basically flagging it and saying, this one matters, hold on to this.
Whereas the list of 20 adjectives doesn't get flagged that way.
Exactly. There's nothing for your brain to attach it to. It's just information, floating with no anchor.
So, a boring list of 50 words versus one single word tied to a real emotional moment.
The one word wins, pretty much every single time. It's not close.
That actually makes me think about how I choose what to learn from. Like, maybe instead of vocabulary lists, I should be picking words out of shows I actually care about.
Songs, too. Conversations with real people. Anywhere there's an actual feeling involved.
Okay, insight 3. Try to meet new words inside a real story or a real feeling, not just a flat, neutral list.
And you don't have to force it either. It's not like you need a dramatic story for every single word.
Right, that would be exhausting.
Totally exhausting. But even a small personal detail helps. Like, instead of just learning kitchen, you might notice, oh, that's the word for the room I'm standing in right now. The one with the burnt toast smell.
So even something tiny and ordinary counts. It doesn't have to be some big emotional moment.
Exactly. Ordinary is fine. The key thing is just that it's yours, and not just a word floating on someone else's list.
That actually explains something for me. The words I remember best from any language are almost always the ones I first heard from an actual person, in an actual conversation, not from an app or a textbook.
That tracks completely with what the research says. A real voice, a real moment, a real person in front of you, that's about as strong an anchor as it gets.
So maybe the practical version of this is just pay more attention to the words that show up naturally in your life, instead of hunting for a perfect study list somewhere online.
That's exactly it. The perfect list doesn't really exist. Your actual life already has one, and it's a lot more personal than anything you'd find in an app. Last but not least, and this one's about timing.
Timing, like when you study?
Yeah, exactly. So, if you learn a word today, and you review it again tomorrow, and then again after 3 days, and then again after a week, you remember it far better than if you'd crammed all of that into one single sitting.
Wait, isn't that kind of the opposite of what most people actually do? Like cramming the night before a test?
It's the complete opposite, and cramming feels good in the moment because it genuinely does work, but only short term. It disappears fast, usually within a few days.
So spreading it out is slower.
Slower, yes, but it actually stays with you long after.
That's honestly a hard thing to accept, because spacing it out doesn't feel productive in the same way. Cramming feels like you're getting somewhere.
It really is more about patience than intelligence. Nobody's brain is bad at this. Most of us just never learn to trust the slow way.
Okay, insight 4 to close this section. A little bit today, a little bit in a few days, a little more next week. Not all crammed into one sitting.
Little and often, over and over, across time. That's really the whole secret.
How do people even keep track of that, though? Like, remembering to check back on a word 3 days later sounds like a lot of mental effort by itself.
Honestly, you don't have to be perfect about the exact timing. Even a rough version of today, in a few days, next week beats cramming everything into one night.
So it doesn't have to be precise, scientific, exact.
Not at all. Loosely spaced is still way better than not spaced at all. The goal is just noticing the word more than once, across more than one day.
So really, even a messy version of spacing beats a perfectly organized cram session.
Every single time. Messy and spread out wins against tidy and crammed.
That's honestly a relief, because I always assumed I needed some kind of perfect app or system with reminders and everything.
Systems can help, sure, but they're not required. Even just noticing, oh, I haven't thought about that word in a few days. Let me try to remember it, is enough to get most of the benefit. Okay, let's make all of this real. Let's actually walk through a full week, moment by moment.
All right, let's do it. Say I'm learning the word overwhelmed.
Perfect word for this. So, Monday morning, you're scrolling through your phone and you see the word overwhelmed in a caption under a video. You don't know it, so you look it up. Takes 10 seconds. That's the whole moment.
Simple enough. Nothing dramatic there.
That's actually the point. This whole method doesn't need to feel dramatic or huge. It fits into 10 seconds you already had free anyway.
So there's no special study session required to even begin.
None at all. It starts the moment you're curious about a word, wherever you happen to be. Nothing dramatic at all. Monday evening, before bed, you don't look it up again. Instead, you just try to remember what it meant, from memory. Even a rough guess counts.
Okay, and let's say I get it slightly wrong, or I only half remember the meaning.
Totally fine. That's the struggle we talked about. Doing its job. You check the real meaning again, quickly, and move on with your evening.
Then what happens Tuesday?
Tuesday. Nothing at all. You skip it completely.
Skip it? On purpose? Deliberately?
On purpose, yes. That gap is doing real work behind the scenes, even though it feels like nothing is happening.
Okay, so Wednesday then?
Wednesday, you try to recall it again, and this time you try using it in a sentence about your actual week. Something like, "This week has felt pretty overwhelmed," or "I felt overwhelmed after that meeting."
Oh, so now it's connected to something real, not just the caption I first saw it in.
Exactly right. That connection is what makes it feel personal instead of abstract.
And then?
Thursday and Friday, you leave it completely alone again. No looking it up, no reviewing, nothing at all.
That gap feels almost too generous, like I'd be worried I'm forgetting it for good.
That worry is completely normal, but it's usually wrong. The forgetting you feel during the gap is actually part of what makes the next recall stronger when it finally comes.
So the gap isn't wasted time, it's doing something even though it feels like nothing.
Nothing you can see, but something real underneath. And Saturday, it just pops into your head randomly, maybe while you're doing something completely unrelated, like cooking or walking somewhere.
Oh, that's happened to me before. A word just shows up in my head out of nowhere, and I always find that a bit surprising.
That surprise is actually the sign that it's genuinely sticking, not because you drilled it 80 times in one afternoon, but because you met it once, struggled with it a little, connected it to something real, and then gave it space to settle.
So across the whole week, I probably spent, a minute total on that one word?
Maybe 2 minutes total, spread out. Compare that to 80 repeats crammed onto a single page in one sitting.
And it works better, using way less time.
Way less time, and it lasts far longer. That's really the trade you're making. A little effort, spread wide, instead of a lot of effort, crammed narrow.
Honestly, that reframes the whole thing for me. It's not study harder, it's study a little but on purpose, and let it breathe.
Let it breathe. I like that.
Can we fast forward though? Say it's a month later. Does the word just stay forever after that 1 week?
Not automatically, no, but it's in a much stronger place. If you happen to hear overwhelmed again in a random conversation a month later, you'll likely recognize it instantly, and that one extra encounter locks it in even further.
So it's less like the word is finished and more like it just keeps getting a little stronger every time it shows up.
Exactly that. Each natural encounter after the first week is basically a free top-up, with almost no effort required.
So I guess the takeaway here isn't repetition is bad.
No, not at all. Repetition still matters. It's more that you should notice what kind of repetition you're actually doing. Is it the easy, autopilot kind, where your hand moves but your brain isn't really working? Or is it the kind where you're genuinely reaching for the word, struggling a little?
So it's not really right versus wrong. It's more about paying attention to which one you're doing in any given moment.
Exactly that. And some days you'll end up cramming anyway, and honestly, that's okay too. Life gets busy, deadlines happen. It's just useful to know the difference, so you're not surprised when the cramming doesn't last.
That feels a lot kinder than how I usually talk to myself about this stuff.
It should be kinder. Nobody's memory is broken here. It was never really about willpower.
I think that's the part that actually surprised me most today. Growing up, I always assumed some people were just naturally good with languages, and I wasn't one of them.
I believed that for years too, but really, most of it comes down to these small habits. Struggling a little, spacing things out, letting a word attach to something real. None of that requires some special gift.
It's oddly reassuring, actually. Like the notebook with desayuno written 80 times wasn't a sign you were bad at this.
It was just a sign nobody had told me the better way yet.
If you could go back and hand that notebook to past Emma, what would you actually say to her?
Honestly, I'd just say, put the pen down after the first time. Trust the gap. Trust that forgetting a little, then finding it again, is the whole method working exactly as it should.
That's a nice thing to say to yourself, actually, or to anyone watching who's got their own version of that notebook somewhere.
I think a lot of us do, honestly. Some old page, some app streak, some list we filled out of guilt more than anything else.
And none of that means you were doing it wrong as a person. It just means nobody had explained the gap yet.
That's really all this comes down to, at the end of the day.
Okay, so here's a question for everyone watching. Think of one single word you genuinely never forget, in any language. Where did you first meet that word? What was actually happening around you at the time?
Tell us in the comments below. We really do read every single one.
And if this changed how you think about learning, even a little bit, maybe consider subscribing. We've got a lot more conversations like this one coming up.
Thank you so much for being here with us today.
See you next time.